some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away.
Lawrence Henry Hunter was born in Romsey, Victoria on the 20th of March 1944. His mother Susan Allison Kendall raised Laurie and his younger brother John, who is no longer with us, alongside her partner Bill Quarrel. Growing up with his stepbrothers and sisters David, Wayne, Henry, Valerie, Wilma and Rosemary, who is no longer with us. When he was 13 years of age, Laurie took a part-time job spud picking to help support his family. As a child, Laurie had loved animals, rescuing an orphaned baby possum, which he then reared. Laurie had also owned a falcon and a magpie. Throughout Laurie's life, he loved riding the bulls in the rodeo ring. When Laurie was around 14 years of age, Susan took the children to circus. Laurie then wandered off, entering himself in a rodeo event, arriving home sometime later with a trophy and £2 in prize money. Not a bad feat conquering a bull at such a young age. Laurie had also loved Aussie rules footy, a one-eyed Collingwood supporter who was known to drive Chinta mad while he watched footy on the telly. Laurie, as a teenager, had played footy in Romsey. His name still holds its place on the wall of Romsey's Hall of Fame. At 15, Laurie left the family home and school. He then moved in with his friends Darren and Paul's grandparents, Jess and Roy, who lived in Maidstone. A year later, as Laurie turned 16, he put his age up and enlisted in the army. This took him on a tour of duty to Vietnam. When he returned to Australia and discharged out of the army, he went home to live with Jess and Roy. Here he took on the care for two young boys, Darren and Paul, who stayed with Laurie until their early 20s. Laurie always loved horses with a passion, and he eventually owned his own white Arab horse. The story goes that he once asked his brother Henry to horse sit. The condition was that Henry was not to ride the horse. Henry decided to push his luck and took the horses out. While also using Laurie's brand new bridle, 4 hours later the bridle was broken. Henry's enforced punishment was to clean the stables for the next 2 months. There is another great story of Laurie, around the age of 19, taking himself off to buy Willie's Mini, then heading to Romsey racetrack with Desi. It didn't take them long to roll the car together. They then rightened the car back onto its wheels, drove it home, quick repairs and took off again. It was also around this time that Laurie started working for Warper Hiller Paints in Footscray, remaining with the company for approximately 30 years. During his 20s and 30s, Laurie continued to ride the bulls in rodeos. He was also known to have conquered the Melbourne Marathon run. Laurie also acquired a couple nicknames along the way, Candles and Chucky. Around 1991, when Laurie was 46 years of age, he joined the ammunition factory making bullets. Here he met Ronnie. Ronnie and his wife Monica then introduced him to Chinta. It was a whirlwind romance, engaged and married within 6 months on the 11th of September the same year. Here, Laurie embraced and welcomed Chinta's children into his heart, Rita, Mary, Mario, Martin and Christine. Over time, they were blessed 17 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. The family shared stories of love of their time spent with Laurie, his generous big heart that was always there to help when needed. Mary said he was a big help and was very fascinated about Mary being pregnant with all of her children, and when Mary used to call him Aussie Possie. Like when Laurie would read with Christine day in and out every day to study for Christine's license. Christine said he talked her ear off about the license, and when he used to read books to Christine, she really appreciated and no matter the situation, Laurie was always there. Rita also shares a great story of the time Laurie picked her up in the Bronco. At some point along the journey, the gas tank fell out onto the road. Laurie then proceeded to tie it back on underneath the car with rope. Rita then asked Laurie if this was safe, and she didn't want them all to die together when the car blew up. Once again, Laurie gave her the same laid-back response. She'll be right, mate. Mario also shares when Laurie had once bitten into a pasticci that broke the plate holding his teeth in place, and they have a lot of memories of Laurie busting Mario's balls about fixing cars. Martin also shares that him and Laurie went to take the birds for a tossing session in Werribee South, and he said to Martin, that bloke on the boat ramp shit himself, and he's laughing, and the bloke said, Jesus, look at that cloud of pigeons. And also when Martin Storter Sky ran into Laurie crying, saying Martin told her off, and when Laurie asked why, she said, because I squashed Daddy's pigeon, and I'll tell you, she done a good job, alright? The family also talked with tenderness of Laurie's loss of his brother John. John was lost through tragic circumstances, and Susan had to be called in to make the heartbreaking decision to turn his life support off. Laurie was unable to make this hard call as he was too distraught with the loss of his brother that he had loved so dearly. Laurie had loved country western music, Johnny Cash, Johnny O'Keefe, Elvis and Louis Armstrong. It goes without saying that he loved John Wayne movies. He had always had pets that included horses, a blue heeler and a cat called Sooty. Sooty was a rather special cat that travelled everywhere Laurie went, frequently joining Laurie for road trips. When Sooty passed away, he then introduced Blackie into the family fold. Laurie had hated conflict and preferred an easygoing existence that was free of loud noise and family infighting. He loved visiting family, and Laurie and Chinta had always enjoyed great fun attending dinner dances at the Sunshine Rsl. As well, Laurie has welcomed his involvement into the Maltese Festa events. It was an unexpected illness that had Chinta recently tricking Laurie to join her in an outing. She then drove him directly to Sunshine Hospital. It is with deep and heartfelt sadness that Laurie was lost to the family on Tuesday the 30th of August after a brief bout of pneumonia. Laurie had gifted Chinta and her family the love, warmth and loyalty that was missing in their lives. He was so good to Chinta and the children, offering support and help to family members when others wouldn't. Laurie was the centre of their world. The love that Chinta and the family feel for Laurie is immeasurable and will always be cherished within their hearts, always and forever. Laurie was also a star in everyone's eye and made everyone feel at home. The family would like to thank Ronnie and Monica for introducing Laurie to Chinta. They were a match that was meant to be. Also, on behalf of the family, we would like to thank you all so much for coming out today to celebrate Laurie's life. Now, I would like to read some speeches from Laurie's kids. I am here today speaking on behalf of myself, my two sisters and my two brothers. We are still in total disbelief and shock that we all have lost our mentor, our role model, and the person we were proud to call our stepfather, Laurie Hunter. The passing of our stepfather was very sudden, which left us all very lost, broken-hearted, confused, but most of all shattered, knowing that Laurie was never coming home. But today, we are finally laying him to rest, knowing he suffers no more pain. So we now can learn how to move forward, having this massive void in our lives. We may have lost the greatest man we had the chance of ever knowing and having in our lives as a stepfather, grandfather, great-grandfather. Rest in peace, Laurie, and safe travels till we meet again. We are sad, but we know you are now at peace and you will never be forgotten. We love you now to eternity. Mario also has a speech for Laurie. Laurie was special to me because every time we needed each other, we were always there for each other. Each time I fixed his car, he always tried to offer me money, and I would always give it back to my mum because I didn't want the money. Because I didn't want the money. He was the best stepfather anyone could ask for, and I'll forever cherish the memories. I also wrote one for Nana as well. She said, Laurie was a good husband because everything I used to say or do, he would help me with everything. He even helped me pay off the house. He done all the renovations out of his own pocket. Laurie means a lot to me, and I'm so lost with him. I'm so lost without him. If I could take time back to spend my very last time, I would make it special. I got one more speech to read. Last night, we lost a true gentleman, one with many amazing stories, especially how he served in the army. I always heard about people serving in the army, but I never thought I'd be lucky to have a nunnu who did. Even though I am your step-grandkid, you still opened up your heart and arms and let me in. So many amazing memories with you that I'll forever cherish, like what it was like growing up, or when I dressed up as Santa for the kids on Christmas and you would come up to me and rub my pillow belly and say, "G'day Santa, you want a drink?" From me being a young kid until now, you always had the time for me, always could have a laugh and a cheeky Black Douglas or a can of Jim Beam. Thank you for all the memories, Nunnu. I'm really going to miss you. I know you will be up there with Mum cracking open a can of Jim Beam and telling her how Earth was the past 4 years that she has been gone. Rest easy, Nunnu. You're now no longer suffering or in pain. This isn't goodbye. I'll see you when it's my time to fly.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I know your life on earth was troubled, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son. Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son. I know your life on earth was troubled, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father.
We saw houses falling from the sky, where the mountains leaned down to the sand. We saw blackbirds circling round an old castle keep, and I stood on the cliff and held your hand. We walked troubles brooding wind-swept hills, and we loved and we laughed the pain away. At the end of the journey, when our last song is sung, will you meet me in heaven someday? Can't be sure how it's going to be when we walk into the light across the bar, but I'll know you and you'll know me out there beyond the stars. We've seen secret things revealed by God, and we heard what the angels had to say. Should you go first or should you follow me? Will you meet me in heaven someday? Living in a mansion on the streets of gold, at the corner of Grace and Rapture Way, in sweet ecstasy while the ages roll. Will you meet me?
You meant so much to all of us. You were special, and that's no lie. You brightened up the darkest day and the cloudiest sky. Your smile alone warmed hearts. Your laugh was like music to hear. I would give absolutely anything to have you well and standing near. Not a second passes when you're not on our minds. Your love we will never forget. The hurt will ease in time. Many tears I've seen and cried. They have all poured out like rain. I know that you are happy now and no longer in any pain. The words of love that the family wish to share with Laurie are these. Thank you for being in my life and loving me dearly. You will always remain in my heart, and thank you for being a beautiful, loving father for the children. Thank you, Laurie, for all the help you gave us, for loving Mum and us the way you did. Thank you for being who you were and the support you gave us throughout your life. I will cherish with love the memory of us doing the gardening together. With tenderness, we now send our love with you. We now tenderly and reverently commit Laurie's body to the purifying elements, earth to earth, dust to dust. We're so grateful you lived, so glad we were gifted your generous, loving spirit, embraced your loyalty and support, heard your voice, and felt the warmth of your smile. Most of all, we will cherish our love for you that will be held within our hearts for all eternity. The dove release is a symbolic gesture of love, peace, healing, and letting go. Let us now embrace the beauty of these birds as they spread their wings while remembering our love and memories of Laurie will soar with them up into the sky above.
Well, you work to earn a living. On a weekend comes the time you can do whatever turns you on. Get out and clear your mind. Me, I like football. There's a lot of things around. You put them all together. Footy wins hands down. Up there, gazelle, in there and fine. Out there and at 'em, show 'em your mind. Up there, gazelle, don't let 'em in. Fly like an angel, you're out there to win. There's a lot more things to football than really meets the eye. There are days when you could give it up. There are days when you could fly. You either love or hate it, depending on the score. When your team runs out, well, they kick a goal. How's the mighty roar? Up there, gazelle, in there and fine. Out there and at 'em, show 'em your mind. Up there, gazelle,
Laurie, in remembrance and love. The family now also warmly extend to celebrate and share memories of times spent with Laurie. Thank you so much.
We'll ask the family first, then we'll bring everybody across this place. An opportunity to say thanks to the family.
I know your life on earth was troubled, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. Go rest high on that mountain
Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. Go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout love for the Father and the Son. Go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout love for the Father and the Son.